This is the City of Lansing versus Ricky Arnett. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Williams.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant City Attorney Amanda Williams appearing on behalf of the City of Lansing.
Mr. Vincent.
Thank you, Conrad Vincent. I'll be here appearing on behalf of the defendant. And to my right, Mr. Ricky Arnett, the defendant in this matter.
And sir, you are Ricky Arnett, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial on the matter. Ms. Williams, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, I had some discussions with Mr. Vincent this morning, and we would like to adjourn it for 30 or 45 days, depending on the court's schedule for compliance purposes.
Is that a fair statement, Mr. Vincent?
That is correct.
We'll set it out
April 23rd and
April 23rd
That'll work. Thank you, Your Honor.
at 9 o'clock. Mr. Arnett, please keep in contact with your attorney, Mr. Vincent. We've reset this for April 23rd at 9 o'clock. All right, sir?
Yes, sir.
Anything else for the record? 2400139, Ms. Williams.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Vincent, you're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you, Mr. Vincent.
Nice to see you.
You have my email. Okay. On your way down.
Yeah, sure.
This is down for you. I have cards on me.
Ms. McCoy, we're waiting on your client, Martinez Vaca.
Yes, Your Honor. I've called him numerous times. We spoke briefly yesterday, and we both were under the impression that this hearing was supposed to be Wednesday, but I told him I was going to call the court and clarify. And I called him back, but I've called him probably 10 times and he's not returning the call. So I'm not sure what's going on.
So we'll if you want to give him some time, or we can call the case.
Well, I do have all the documents from Capital City Humane Society that I'm going to fax over, and my notice of appearance. They did give the dog to the Humane Society, so I can clarify that. I know he's not here, but
have you forwarded any of that material to the city attorney?
no, I'm going to do that this afternoon. I have it here. I tried to upload it, but I couldn't find the email address for the criminal division. I can either fax it or email it, whichever the city attorney wants. Just for the record, Your Honor, I've worked with the Martinez family for quite some time, and this is unlike him to not return calls and not show up for things. So I apologize for what's going on. I don't know.
All right, so let's call that case then, since it's that case. So we're on the record in docket 23005061. That is Alejandro Martinez Baca, City of Lansing versus Alejandro Martinez Baca. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Mr. Williams.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant City Attorney Emmanuel Williams appearing on behalf of the City of Lansing.
And ma'am, you are Sheila McCoy, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And at this point in time, there have been some confusion, but Mr. Alejandro Martinez Baca is not present, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Right. This is the time set for a code compliance hearing. It's my understanding that there's been some compliance, but the city attorney doesn't have that, the assistant city attorney, and that's still in the process of getting sent to the city attorney's office. Would that be a fair statement, Ms. McCoy?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So, Ms. Williams, how did you want to proceed today on this file?
Your Honor, we can adjourn it for one more week only
Okay.
until I receive the compliance documents.
Yeah, I think the city's being more than fair with the 1 week adjournment to get the documents. I guess that seems to be a fair resolution today. There does seem to be some confusion with Mr. Martinez Baca. He'll have to be here a week from today, next Tuesday. Ms. McCoy, you can come by Zoom or in person, but you should get any of those documents forwarded to the city attorney so that it appears that he's done everything he's supposed to. There's just no
Yes.
documentation to that. So I'm
Okay.
going to reset for next Tuesday.
We don't have time next Tuesday, Judge.
It's going to be short. I'll
Yeah,
not
let's
drag it along.
let's make time for next Tuesday.
That's that. That's a meeting.
Let's put it first thing in the morning. So let's reset for Tuesday morning, because they won't get started on their embezzlement till 10:30.
Okay,
So let's do reset for 8:30. So first thing Tuesday morning, I'm assuming, Ms. McCoy, you'll have the documentation, and that'll be
Yes.
a fairly short hearing.
yes.
So reset for 8:30 on March. That'll be April 2nd.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Martinez Baca should be here. Defendant should be here. So just so we make sure that he understands the importance of coming to court. I understand there was some discrepancy as to whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday, but make sure he's here Tuesday at 8:30 on
Yes,
April
thank you.
2nd.
Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it.
Anything else for the record in docket 23005061, Ms. Williams?
Yes, Your Honor, I think Ms. McCoy mentioned earlier that she couldn't find the contact email for the criminal division.
Right.
So that's for the court. That's not for the city attorney's office. I just want to clarify that she's sending the documents to the right place.
So make sure you're sending the documents to the city attorney's office.
Will do, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
For that clarification.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Anything else for the record, Ms. McCoy?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we'll see you next week at 8:30. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
appearance today.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Mr. Williamson, you can unmute. We'll call your case next.
Yep, I'm here.
All right, thank you.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
okay. All right.
So we're on the record in docket 24L28264515, 52, and 53. That is the City of Lansing versus Raekwon Williamson. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Williams.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant City Attorney Amanda Williams appearing on behalf of the City of Lansing.
And Ms. Sutter.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter on behalf of Mr. Williamson, who's joining us via Zoom.
And sir, you are Raekwon Williamson, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and you can hear me, Mr. Williamson?
Yes.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial on the matter. Ms. Williams, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, the city moves to dismiss all charges. No objection.
All right, so Mr. Williamson, the city has moved to dismiss without prejudice. The tickets in this matter, it should be on one ticket, I believe.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, so the three tickets, the three charges on one ticket in the three files. And at this time, we'll dismiss without prejudice, which means that people could reissue if they choose to, but realistically, for our purposes today, all three files are dismissed. All right, sir?
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Anything else for the record in 24L28264512 2 or 3, Ms. Williams?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Sutter?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Mr. Williamson, you're all set. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Nesson, we're ready on your case. We're on the record in docket 230062. That is the City of Lansing versus Dominga Nesson. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Williams.
Assistant City Attorney Amanda Williams appearing on behalf of the City of Lansing.
Ms. Sutter.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter on behalf of Ms. Nesson, who's joining us via Zoom.
And ma'am, you are Dominga Nesson, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
To respond.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. And Ms. Nesson, you can hear me all right?
Yeah, yes, yes,
All
Your
right,
Honor.
thank you. All right, this is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Williams, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, my understanding is that Ms. Nascent will be pleading guilty as charged with the kill of Rue to time served.
Is that a fair statement, Ms. Sutter?
It is.
All right. And Ms. Sutter, how much time does she have in?
22 days.
Is that
22 days.
22 days? Ms. Williams, do you have any opinion on immediate sentencing today?
No objections to immediate sentencing.
So Ms. Sutter, I'll restate, it's a plea to the charge, which is I believe it's the opposite of the city ordinance of hinder and oppose.
Correct.
All right. With a plea to the charge, Killebrew of time served, there's 22 days, time served would be 22 days for 22 days credit and no objection to immediate sentencing.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. All right. May I inquire of your client of their advice and misdemeanor rights?
Yes.
Miss Nesson, you're going to be pleading to a misdemeanor with a maximum penalty possibility of 90 days in jail and or $500 fine. There's an agreement between the attorneys that you serve time served, 22 days in jail. There's also no objection to immediate sentencing concerning this matter. Is that your understanding, ma'am? Is that a yes?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. In this misdemeanor case, you have the following rights, and I'll walk you through those rights. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent till proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have any witnesses against you appear at trial, to question any witnesses brought against you. You are represented today by Attorney Lauren Sutter, and she would be present to cross-examine any witnesses or contest any charges brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. You have the right to have the court order any witnesses appear in your defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. If your plea is accepted, you give up the claim. The plea was a result of any promises other than what's been discussed as on the record as a plea agreement, or threats that it was not your choice to plead guilty. You'd also be giving up the right to appeal any issues from trial. Since you won't be having a trial today, you'll be pleading guilty instead. Is it your intent today to waive your jury trial rights and to plead guilty to count one?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to have you raise your right hand as best you can. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury? Is that a yes, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I'm going to bring your attention back to May 14th, 2022 at the offense of at the location of 1012 Katy Court in Lansing, Michigan. Were you present on Katy Court in the city of Lansing, Michigan on May 14th, 2022?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at that time, did you have contact with a individual who's marked as marked in a Lansing police officer in uniform that you knew was a Lansing police officer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then why don't you tell me what you did in your hinder and oppose or obstruct the results to that officer at that time?
I obstructed justice
I'm sorry, say again, ma'am?
I obstructed justice by not trying not to get arrested, trying to go inside my house.
All right. All right. So he was trying to arrest you and you did not want to be arrested.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Anything towards a factual basis, Ms. Williams?
No, Your Honor, city testified.
Ms. Sutter?
Nothing further.
All right. I find the factual basis to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made. I will follow the Killebrew recommendation of 22 days in jail with 22 days credit for time served. I'm a little familiar with Ms. Nesson since we've had some other cases, so I have no objection to immediate sentencing.
And if I just might be very briefly heard on the fine.
So allocution.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you just stated, Ms. Nesson does have a couple other cases. We were here with her yesterday. She does have some global resolutions pending both here in 55th. There's a plea date set for those in early April. She's also on probation in front of Eaton County right now. So she does already have some not insignificant court costs from a couple different places hanging over her. So I'd respectfully request the court waive or reduce any of the possible fines it has discretion over here so that she can prioritize restitution in 55th and probation costs in Eaton. Thank you.
Right. So I, at this point in time, because her fines and costs are getting up there, I would assume, just on the other file alone. I'm going to waive fines and costs on the hinder oppose. I'm gonna she'll still be hit with the crime victims' rights fee of $75, state fee of $25, for a total of $50. I'm sorry, and the state fee for a total of $125. to be paid to the city of Lansing for those two fees. Is there any restitution in this matter, Ms. Williams, that you're aware of?
No, Your Honor, not that I'm aware of. Judge, you don't have to assess the $50 fee if it's just.
Yeah. We'll assess the fee and refer to collections.
Just to confirm what I heard between you're maintaining the $50 fee.
Yeah, $75 crime victims' rights fee, state fee of $50 for a total of $125 to be referred to collections, now waive fines and costs.
Thank you.
All right. So, Ms. Nesson, you've been sentenced on this to credit served. You do have an outstanding balance of $125 to the city of Lansing. I'm going to refer that to collections. So when you get out, you should check with the city of Lansing to start that payment process for $125, understanding that you have other payment processes ongoing as well. All right, ma'am?
Okay, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else for the record in 230062, Ms. Williams?
Your Honor, thank you.
All right, Ms. Sutter.
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right. You're all set, Ms. Nesson. Thank you for your appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
You too. All right.
We have Mr. Miller, who's been waiting for quite
All
some
right,
time.
let's do, it's Breon Miller?
Yes, Brian Miller.
Brian Miller. All right, so we're on the record in docket 22-03179. That is City of Lansing versus Brian Miller. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson. Williams, did I call you Wilson again?
Yes, you call me Wilson again.
The APA is Miss Wilson.
Yes.
And so that's why, but I know you, Miss Williams, so.
Big W's,
Yeah.
Abigail Wilson.
Yeah, but I've known Miss Williams for years, and I've known Miss Wilson for months, but, so that's on me, okay? All right, Miss Williams, your appearance for the record you made, Miss Sutter.
Assistant City Attorney Amani Williams appearing on behalf of the City of Lansing.
Miss Sutter.
Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter on behalf of Mr. Miller, who is standing to my right.
And sir, you are Brian Miller, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Williams, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, my understanding is that Mr. Miller will be accepting responsibility to the amended charge of civil infraction, the breach of the peace.
And that comes with a
$150.
$150 fine. And Ms. Sutter, is that an accurate statement that we'd be amending or adding account to breach of the peace under the civil infraction city ordinance with a $150 fine? Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor, and I'll be accepting responsibility on my client's behalf.
All right. And that's your understanding, Mr. Miller, that you'll be, that Ms. Sutter will be admitting responsibility on the civil infraction for breach of the peace, and count one is to be dismissed upon successful completion of that admission. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, just so we're working from the same, this is for our conduct on June 5th, 2022 at 420 South Grand Avenue. Is that correct, Ms. Sutter?
That's correct.
All right. And at that time, do you admit responsibility on behalf of your client for being in violation of the civil infraction of breach of the peace?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I find that admission to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made. I'll dismiss count one as to the information for A and B. And does your client need some time to pay the city of Lansing $150 fine?
Yes, Your Honor. He's respectfully requesting 2 weeks.
Okay. So let's set it for April 9th.
Thank you.
Yeah. April 9th by 4 o'clock. So you can pay online, in person, or on the internet. And that, so you can even set up your own plan as long as everything's paid by that April 9th date. Okay, sir?
Yes.
All right. Anything else for the record on 22-03179 Ms. Williams,
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Sutter.
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Miller, you're all set. Thank you for your patience.
So I switched my computer.
Your Honor, is there a, because it was an A and B and a complaint, is there a nollie associated with this?
I just did it as a civil infraction admission,
We,
and then I just dismissed it.
my understanding is that the process now, we don't have nollies anymore. We just
didn't think
dismiss it on
so.
the record.
I didn't think so. I'm just checking because he needs something. He's joining the military, so he needs confirmation of that. And
Right.
something from the court is more reliable than a letter from me.
How about something from the ROA?
Judgment of sentence, perhaps, or.
Yeah, we didn't do a judgment of sentence.
As soon as I said it, I knew.
Yeah. Have them contact if you need anything, have them contact my staff and we can put it in an email or in writing.
All right.
All right.
I get a business card, please. Please.
I'll do that for you all. I'll
Okay.
type up a little letter.
Mhm.
I'll send it to you.
That
with
works.
the confirmation. I'll.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, that would, this is a civil infraction, so you kind of admitted responsibility to like a speeding ticket.
Okay.
So there's no misdemeanor out there.
Okay. But I still
Okay.
want to make sure I cover all my bases.
Absolutely, I understand.
I'll get you a copy here.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else left?
Yes, we had. I just had someone in my brain.
Mr. Carter?
Brendan Carter, yeah.
Okay. All right, Mr. Carter, we'll call your case. You can unmute.
Yes,
All right. We're on the record in docket 22-03224. That is City of Lansing versus Brendan Carter. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Williams.
Assistant City Attorney Emmanuel Williams appearing on behalf of the City of Lansing.
Ms. Sutter.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter on behalf of Mr. Carter, who is joining us via Zoom.
And sir, you are Brendan Carter, is that correct?
yes,
All right, you can hear me all right, Mr. Carter?
yes, sir.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for pretrial in the matter. Ms. Williams, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, it's my understanding that Mr. Carter will be accepting responsibility to the amended charge of the civil infraction breach of the peace.
Okay. And is this on a ticket or an information? It's an information. So we will amend it to the civil infraction of breach of the peace. Makes more sense than adding a second count. It's that comes with $150 fine. And then we don't have to dismiss anything, we'll just amend the count. Is that your understanding, Ms. Sutter?
It is, Your Honor, and I'll be accepting responsibility on his behalf.
All right. And Mr. Carter, is that your understanding? We'll be amending count 1 to the civil infraction of breach of the peace. That comes with a $150 fine. And then the misdemeanor will be dismissed or will be amended. Is that your understanding, sir?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
I only just let me say yes.
Sorry.
His caseworker is also in the
Okay.
room.
All right. All right. So just so we're working from the same document, this is for conduct that happened on June 4th, 2022 at 833 North Capitol in the city of Lansing. Is that the same time and place that you're working from, Ms. Sutter?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at that time, was your client in violation of the city ordinance or civil infraction of breach of the peace?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So I find the admission to the civil infraction to be knowing, voluntarily, and actively made on behalf of counsel for their client, and we will fine the defendant $150 under the civil infraction penalty. Does your client need some time to make that payment?
He does, Your Honor, and I'd be asking for a little bit longer time than usual. He does have some housing stability. If the court's willing to allow him 4 months,
Yes.
thank you.
So 30, 60, 90, we'll go 120 days. July 24th, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So we'll set, payment is due to the city of Lansing for July 24th at 4 o'clock. Mr. Carter, you can set up your own payment plan as you go for the $150. You pay once a week or every other week, but it all has to be paid to the city of Lansing by July 24th. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes.
All right. You pay online, in person, or at the counter. Anything else for the record in docket 22-03-224, Ms. Williams?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Sutter?
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Carter, you're all set. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you.
Ready right now. You have a second. You need to check. He's the one who's been in Concord.
So, Mr. Carter, you're all set.
He's now at Park.
Did you need to meet with Mr. Lauderdale?
How you do it?
Ms. Whittier, are you ready to go on Simply Live versus Person Doe?
I am, Your Honor. Good morning.
All right. Good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you. I hope you are too.
I am. So we're on the record in Simply Live LLC versus Person Doe. That's docket 23-06376. Appearances for the record, Ms. Whitty.
Joy Whitty appearing on behalf of the plaintiff.
And was there a Person Doe here last time or an occupant last time?
There were no appearances last time.
Okay. All right. Let me check my notes in this case. Just okay, this is the second hearing on a default. It was scheduled for, so I'll add to the notes from that. This was scheduled for 10 o'clock. It is now 10:17. It would appear that D has failed to appear for second hearing. Ms. Whitty, how would you like to proceed today?
Party would propose a default possession judgment. Rent to retain is owing in the amount of $8,750. Costs are $160.82 for a total of $8,910.82. I will add that the unit was kept fit for the purpose intended, and to the best of our knowledge, the defendants are not minors, legally incompetent, or serving in the military.
All right, thank you. I know that they've never appeared, but all right, and you'll follow that up. You've indicated the numbers for the record, and you'll follow that up with an order to that effect, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I will sign the order when I get it by e-file. The numbers are placed on the record along with any other matters concerning the default. Anything else on 2306-376, Ms. Whitty?
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
All right, thank you. You should be all set.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Coomer, we can call your case.
Yes, right.
24004. So you can come up here. Do you see a Michael Miller or Lisa Davis? Lisa Davis is here.
I see Lisa on the screen.
Okay. All right, so we're on the record in docket 240004. That is Patrick Coomer versus Michael Miller and Lisa Davis. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Mr. Coomer.
I'm Patrick Coombs.
Coombs.
I think
I
they
don't know why we have-
misspelled it with the
Yeah.
last initial S was mistakenly put as R.
All right, yep. Coombs. All right, and ma'am, you are Lisa Davis, is that correct?
Yes.
And you can hear me all right, Miss Davis?
Yeah.
All right. Is Michael Miller with you?
Nope.
All right. What's that? I don't think so. Except for second hearing, March 26th at 10. All right, so this is a default hearing. Miss Davis, you have not seen any of the video to be played, is that correct?
No, I haven't.
You were not present at the first pretrial.
I never got any paperwork. This is the only paperwork I got. Because Mike Miller has been keeping my mail.
What's that?
I said I haven't received anything because Michael Miller took my mail and didn't give it to me.
So that was the mail placed at the address, and you're not getting mail at that address anymore?
My mail still goes there, but when it does go there, Michael Miller will take it and put it up somewhere, or Steve throws it away.
Have you changed your address?
I'm working on that today. Because I have not been staying there in that house because Mike Miller kicked me out like it was his house.
All right, so Mr. Coomer, this appears to be I don't know what the lease is on that. Is there any provision for domestic violence in the lease?
May I hand you the lease?
Sure. Sure.
There may be something in there.
There might be something in the lease. All right. So you're both on the lease, Miss Miller, Miss Davis, and Mr. Miller is on the lease.
Yes,
There's a
sir.
tenant who is reasonably apprehended present danger. Violence may have a special seek to release of rental obligation under 5540601B. So, Miss Miller, under the lease you signed, you do have domestic violence protection if you are a tenant who's had reasonable apprehension of danger to yourself or your person based on a domestic violence situation. It appears that would be the case. Is that correct, Ms. Davis?
What do you mean, domestic violence? I don't know.
It means that you presently are out of the home and receiving your mail elsewhere because you were afraid of Mr. Miller.
Well, yeah, and he kicked me out. He's the one that told me to leave.
Well,
Not Steve. Steve
so
Mike did.
my plan here, Mr. Miller is not here, so he's going to be defaulted, I would think. Ms. Davis has some protection under Domestic Violence Act. And so what I'd like to do is do a pretrial. So Ms. Davis has a pretrial format, but we get an updated address. And so she can get some rights under the video because she hasn't seen the video yet.
Yes,
And
sir.
she's still an occupant and she's on the lease. But it appears that she's got a new address. She's not there anymore.
Your Honor, would you mind if I approach it?
Absolutely. You can take, you can,
Would you please, Your Honor, could you ask her if she wants to stay there? 'Cause I-
all right.
Yeah,
I can put that on the record.
thank you.
Ms. Davis, you're presently out of possession. Mr. Miller's there, is that correct?
Yeah, he's been there and he said he's not leaving because he's got a toothbrush there. He acts like he owns that house.
All right. All right. Is your preference at this time to also be at that residence or you seem unable to go to the residence because he kicked you out?
I don't want to be there because Mike Miller, every time when I stayed there 2 nights after I signed that
All right.
lease.
All right.
And Mike told me to get
So,
out. And I haven't been
all
there
right.
since. Well, I was there to help Steve out.
all right. So let's do this. The court will entertain a default on Mr. Miller since he didn't fail to appear.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
and that would be
I mean, because Mike, he
D1
acts
or
like he owns that house.
D1 or D1. Okay. FTA. And we'll reset Miss Davis for pretrial, but you can decide what you want to do with Miss Davis. You that's up to you. It's your case. Because you might end up since you have a default, Mr. Miller, who seems to be in possession, you might end up going a different route.
Your Honor, would you mind if I approach the bench?
Yeah, and let's put it on the record because I can't
Okay.
I can't give you legal advice.
Yeah, no, no money's been paid. I mean, this.
Right.
In November, so you got November, December, January, February, March. So-
Right.
And she is, has not been able to pay, is not in the situation, where she can pay, in my opinion, does
Right.
not work a job. So it just, they both gotta go, please.
Right, well, she gets a pretrial because she showed up, okay? And she gets the video and rights. I'll reset the pretrial, but she's gonna have to update the address and everything for us. Or Ms. Davis, we need a valid address to send to you so that you can get notification. I'm gonna give you oral notification, but you're gonna have to give us some address for you to get your mail at, okay? All right. So I'm going to default as to D1 for fail to appear. We're going to set D2 for pretrial. We'll try to make it as soon as we can, but there's going to be some issues there because we got to move stuff around. But we'll set D2 for pretrial since she appeared. This is a DV situation. And D2 is not in the house. But is on the lease. Mr. Coomer, so as to the default that you'll forward to the court, is, to the best of your knowledge, is Mr. Miller a minor incapacitated or in the military service?
He may have served in military, to my knowledge,
No.
at one point.
Okay, but he's not presently in the military, to the best of your knowledge.
Your Honor.
And okay, Ms. Davis, I'm gonna speak to Mr. Coomer concerning Mr. Miller, and then we'll call your portion of the case. All right, ma'am?
All right.
And Mr. Coomer, was the residence kept for its intended purposes, to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have any numbers you want to place on the record in regards to the possession for non-payment?
Yes, Your Honor. I was gonna use my cell phone for a calculator.
Okay. What is rent a month?
700.
Okay.
$700.
And so that would be the 700 times the month payment.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, what is that?
Well, see, I was just gonna prorate the March, so I got 700 divided by 31 days in March. So it's 22. 2258 times 26 days times 26 is 587. Just got to total up these columns. This column here of 6. Coming up with $3,293.75 through March 26th of 2024.
All right, and you will submit an order. You can do it. You're pro per, aren't you? You're not. So you can submit a paper order to that effect, or we can do an order here, a possession order here. Only, but it would be only a default as to Mr. Miller, and we're going to reset because we have to Ms. Davis for pretrial. Okay. How would you prefer to do that?
Couldn't I have the court submit that?
Well, they'll print it out for you, and you can write your numbers in.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm not a attorney or anything. I just represent myself.
Yeah. So let's do a default possession with captions, and then we'll let Mr. Coombs look at it, and then I'll take a look at it. Ms. Davis, are you still there?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to reset your pretrial. Do you have an updated address that we can send notice to? And then I'll give you oral notice. I'll let you know orally when we're setting that to.
I can have an address this afternoon.
You'll have an address this afternoon. So you're going to have to contact my staff in order to give them an address so they have a valid address for you. All right. All right. I'm going to set this pretrial and I'll give you oral. I'll tell you what date and time you should be here. So you have not had the pretrial yet. We'll have legal aid here. We'll have we'll have a video indicating some of your rights in the matter. But you need to go through that process, right, Ms. Davis?
Okay.
All right. When are we setting it for?
April 10th at 9.
D2. So your pretrial is set on this matter for April 10th at 9 o'clock.
I think I got another case on that day though, but that should be fine.
Just let us know. And
I think the case is in here.
All right.
Yeah.
If it's here or in the court, in our courtroom,
yeah,
just come in and let us know.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
I think we can work that out.
All right. So ma'am, that's April 10th at 9 o'clock. You should write that down.
Okay.
April 10th at 9 o'clock. And then you can attend the same way you're attending here. You can attend in person on the 6th floor of City Hall, or you can attend by Zoom. Either way, you'll be able to get your rights read to you and you'll have legal aid here. All right, ma'am? All right. So on D2, you have that date, Mr. Coombs.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
I wrote that down.
All right.
Here on April 10th.
Yep. And then we'll give you the default judgment. And you can write in those numbers, any numbers that you have.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So Ms. Davis, you're all set. We'll see you on April 10th at 9 a.m. All right, ma'am? All right. Thank you. And then Mr. Coombs, once you read that, once you get your numbers in, we'll put that on the record.
Yes, Your Honor. Do you want me to step away from this?
Yeah, at your convenience.
Because I can step away and
all right,
figure numbers.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
I tried to turn your volume up so I sit out.
You can.
Yeah. Just look it up there.
I'll move Ms. Davis to. There you go. Rest of our e-files are at 2 this afternoon. All right.
It's back. Thank you, Mr. Lauderdale. He's been here since, I think he was the first person on Zoom this morning.
Do you need to take a break, Wendy?
I gotta listen to something for Tammy. Good, thank you.
I don't think she's even spoken to him.
I don't think she's in the. She's in room 2.
I met with Mr. Lauderdale. He was the first person on Zoom this morning.
And I think she needs to be in a room with him. Is what she said.
Can you get the clerk?
Yeah. Mr. Lauderdale, I'm going to move you into a breakout room with your public defender, okay?
Yes, sir. Do you know how longer
All
it's
right.
going to be judged today?
It's not, you're going to meet with her and then we're going to put your case on the record.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So you should get a prompt to go to a breakout room. It'll be room 3, but you should get that prompt.
Yeah, that's. He's
All right, so we're on the record in docket 24 L284134 and 341. That is the City of Lansing versus Dwayne Lauderdale Jr. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Williams.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant City Attorney Manny Williams appearing on behalf of the city of Lansing.
Ms. Sutter.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter on behalf of Mr. Lauderdale, who's joining us via Zoom.
And sir, you are Dwayne Lauderdale, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you can hear me all right, Mr. Lauderdale?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Williams, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, I'd like to ask for an adjournment for 60 days for compliance purposes.
And this is the first request.
Yes.
Okay. So request adjournment. We'll set it for 60 days out.
May 21st at 9 o'clock.
All right, we'll set it for May 21st at 9 o'clock. For compliance purposes, Mr. Lauderdale, please keep in contact with your attorney, Ms. Sutter, and we've set it for May 21st at 9 o'clock. Anything else for the record in 24 L284134 or 41, Ms. Williams?
Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Sutter.
Nothing further.
All right, you should be all set, Mr. Lauderdale. We'll see you on that May 21st date.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Mr. Wood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 20-01041, 20 L2560341, and 21-02818. That's the City of Lansing versus Joshua Wood. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Good morning,
Ms.
Your Honor.
Williams.
Assistant City Attorney Manny Williams appearing on behalf of the city of Lansing.
Ms. Sutter.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter on behalf of Mr. Wood, who's joining us via Polycom.
And sir, you are Joshua Wood, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, my name is Joshua Wood.
All right, thank you. And you can hear me all right, Mr. Wood?
Yes, Your Honor, I can hear you pretty good.
All right. This is the time set for a pretrial on these three matters. Ms. Williams, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, okay, so we have three cases here. The city will be moving to dismiss case number 20-01041 and the ticket 20L2560341. And my understanding is that Mr. Wood will be pleading guilty to the remaining charge. That's OUICS under ticket number 21-02818.
Your Honor, I was neither able to see nor hear.
All right, so as to, I'll restate that for the record. People move to dismiss without prejudice 20L2560341 as part of the negotiations. Also move to dismiss without prejudice 20-01041 as part of negotiations. And then as part of negotiations, Mr. Wood is going to plead to 21-02818 as charged as part of the negotiations. Is that correct, Ms. Sutter?
It is.
All right. And what is what is his out date on?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly after that, I think there's an agreement to time served as well. He has been in MDO since July of, excuse me, July of 2021. He is anticipating a parole release on April 20th of this year.
I think I have to do an assessment. No, I think I have to. I think it's statutory. You know, that.
Even with the time served?
Yeah, even with the time served, I think he has to go through because of the nature of the offense. I think they have to do an assessment pursuant to statute, unless there's something in there that I missed concerning being incarcerated in the Department of Corrections.
I was thinking a jail sentence removed that part of it, since what's the point of assessment if someone's not
Right.
on supervised release?
Right. I just don't
But
know.
I don't have it in front of me to confirm my belief.
So let's do this. We can revisit this. I'll sentence him the way I normally do. And then probation can see him. If probation says we don't see people, then we'll know that that's not an issue. And then maybe we'll come back for sentencing, or I can just re-sentence to the time served. Because that would be the request. The only thing that we'd be putting on is for the assessment. That's the only time.
Gotcha.
It's the only reason he'd be going to, that's the only reason he'd be going through the probationary process.
Right. My primary concern with that is the timeline of sentencing right now with probation involved is 8 to 10 weeks.
Right.
Which puts him out
Out
beyond
past,
his
yeah.
parole date, and that starts causing a lot of issues.
I'm assuming that if they don't have to see him, we'll know pretty quick. It's if they have to see him.
But how do we get back on the docket sooner than that?
Yeah, so let's send an email to probation to find out before.
Okay.
So we know before. Because if they have to see him, we'll see him. And that might mess up his out date, or at least they'll know. But if they don't have to see him, we can sentence him right now.
Okay.
Okay.
So are we just gonna hold this file?
Yeah,
a little bit right
let's
now?
send an email and see.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's been in Department of Corrections for how long?
July of 2021.
So he's been in since July of 2021,
Essentially since this incident.
and he has an April 20th date.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see what probation. So Mr. Wood, stand by, and we're gonna see what we have to do and what we can do in regards to what you're pleading guilty to, okay?
Yeah, Your Honor, I just wanted to state for the record, I've been incarcerated since July, but I had some time for credit also. I got 3.5 years credit right now for being in here, so.
All right, stand by, and we'll be with you in a second.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so we're on the record on 24-00069. That's the City of Lansing versus Kanika Brown. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Williams.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant City Attorney Amani Williams appearing on behalf of the City of Lansing.
Ms. Sutter.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter on behalf of Ms. Brown, who's standing to my right.
And ma'am, you are Kanika Brown, is that correct? All right, thank you. This is the time set for a pretrial in the matter. Ms. Williams, how we proceed?
Your Honor, I'd like to adjourn it for 60 days for compliance purposes.
Thank you. Have a good day.
And is that a fair statement, Ms. Sutter?
It is, Your Honor. She's been asked to complete a substance abuse assessment. She's going to need some time for them to get that done.
Right, this is the first request for an adjournment. We'll adjourn for 60 days. So date, May 21st.
21st or 24th? Never mind. I take back my question.
May 21st at 9 o'clock. All right, so Ms. Brown, please keep in contact with your attorney, Ms. Sutter, concerning the compliance issues. We'll see you back here on May 21st at 9 o'clock, right, ma'am?
Thank you.
That's all for the record. And 240069.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm going.
Let's go through.
Oh, man. It's really nice game,
Sir, on the iPhone, could you identify yourself?
Alex Peoples.
Avion,
Say your name again. Oh, Mr. Jackson.
Avion Jackson.
All right, Mr. Jackson, we can call your case.
Okay.
So we're on the record in 20L2575431. That is City of Lansing versus Avion Jackson. Mr. Jackson, this is the time set for a show cause and confirm the balance of $189.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Jackson, you've been show caused for your balance of $189 to the city of Lansing. Did you want to set up some kind of plan for that?
Yeah.
That would get you out of this bench warrant cycle, because if you fail to appear, there's going to be a bench warrant for you. You've shown up, so there's no bench warrant. I just want to make sure we have a plan.
Yeah. Yes, I would like.
All right. So for our purposes, we could start $25 May 1st.
Hey, that's awesome.
All right, so $25 May 1st. And every subsequent month.
Okay.
So that would be June 1st, July 1st, until the debt of $189 is paid. All right, sir?
Okay.
Well, we'll start that May 1st to give you about 4 or 5 weeks to get your finances in order. And then you'll start payments to the city of Lansing on May 1st for $25. That payment can be made live, in person, or by phone.
Okay.
So that pay. So if you make those payments, then you won't be show cause. If you miss a payment, they're gonna show cause you right again, and you're gonna get caught in this bench warrant cycle. And you're gonna have a bench warrant for you if you don't appear, which means that whatever you're doing and you get picked up, they're gonna take you in on a bench warrant. You understand that?
Yeah.
So Mr. Jackson, so make the payment by May 1st so you stay out of that cycle.
I will.
All right, so it'll be May 1st and every subsequent month after May, so June 1st, July 1st, until the $189 is paid. Do you have any questions concerning that, Mr. Jackson?
No, thank you.
Okay, you should be all set. Thank you for your appearance today. So there's no bench warrant out for you now, okay?
Okay, so I got how much time to go make the first payment? I'm sorry.
All right. Your first payment will be due on May 1st.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're all set. Thank you for your appearance today. Are you ready, Mr. Joseph?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we're on the record in 24 L2830562, City of Lansing versus Joshua Joseph. The parties please introduce themselves for the record. Ms. Williams.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant City Attorney Amanda Williams appearing on behalf of the City of Lansing.
Ms. Sutter.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter, on behalf of Mr. Joseph, who is standing to my right.
And sir, you are Joshua Joseph, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is the time set for pretrial in the matter. Ms. Williams, how are we proceeding?
Yes, Your Honor, it's my understanding that Mr. Joseph will be pleading guilty to the amended charge of allowing a unlicensed person to drive under MCL 257.326.
I believe, is that a 90-day?
Yes, sir.
90-day and or
$100.
$100. All right, and that would be an amended count. So it'd be an amended count 2 of the ticket. Sounds, because it's on a ticket.
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate statement, Ms. Sutter?
It is, Your Honor.
All right. May I inquire of your client of his misdemeanor advice of rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Joseph, it's my understanding you'll be pleading guilty to an amended, this would be a count 2 of the ticket of allowing an unlicensed person to drive, which is a 90-day misdemeanor and or $100 pursuant to 257.362. Is that your understanding?
Yes, sir.
All right. You have some rights in this misdemeanor case, and I will walk you through those rights. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have witnesses against you appear at trial, to question any witnesses that are brought against you. You are represented today by Attorney Lauren Sutter, and she would be here to represent you in regards to cross-examination or contest any charges brought against you by the people. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to have the court ordering witnesses' opinion or defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. If your plea is accepted, you'll give up the claim the plea was a result of any promises other than what's already been stated on the record or threats that it was not your choice to plead guilty. You'd also be giving up the right to trial on this offense. Since you won't be having a trial, you'll be pleading guilty instead. Is it my understanding that your wish today is to plead to the amended count 2 of allowing an unlicensed person to drive?
That's correct.
All right. Maybe raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury? I'm going to bring your attention back to February 13th, 2024, at the location of Pennsylvania and Mount Hope in the city of Lansing, Ingham County. Were you operating a motor vehicle at an area open to the public on that February 13th date in Pennsylvania and Mount Hope?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at that time, did you allow an unlicensed person to drive the vehicle?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that person was probably
Be myself.
okay. All right. Anything towards a factual basis, Miss Williams?
Satisfied, Your Honor.
Miss Sutter?
Nothing further.
Okay, I find the factual basis to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made. Ms. Williams, did you have any comment on immediate sensing, or
No
is this one we should go to
objections. Yeah,
probation?
no objections to
Okay.
immediate sentencing.
Allocution, Ms. Sutter.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would request the immediate sentencing today and ask the court to kind of keep costs down for Mr. Joseph. He is working on making the payments. He plans to make them today if at all possible. So just keep that in mind while he's trying to get back on his feet. Thank you.
All right, so the court will go to immediate sentencing. I'm not ordering any jail time. I'll order $50 costs, $50 fine for a total of $100. State cost of 70, crime victims' rights fee of 75, state of 25, of 50, for a total of $225. Do you plan to pay that today, or do you need some time to pay that?
Yeah, I'll pay that today.
All right,
Just for my sake, Your Honor, can we make it through Thursday?
sure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I like
Just-
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, just that, I think that's a good plan. So you plan to play today, but we'll make it through March 28th at 4.
Thank you.
March 28th at 4. But Mr. Joseph, you've indicated that your plan is to pay that today, that $225 to the city of Lansing. Okay. Anything else for the record in docket 24L2A30562, Ms. Williams?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Sutter?
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Joseph, you should be all set. Thank you for your appearance today. Yeah. I don't think they made, I don't think there's any indication of that in the statute. I just don't remember it.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what was.
Yeah, he needs the assessment, but pursuant to statute. Yeah, so, and I don't know a way to get around that. I think this came up before. And we said, like, he's incarcerated and he's gonna be incarcerated. The statute doesn't allow for that.
Right, because I know the statute talks about how it's supposed to assess the rehabilitative goals or possibilities, which seems to me imply a way around it, because there is no, we can't have rehabilitative goals for a person who's served the entire jail sentence already.
Right.
We can't do probation.
Well, and they can, because he's out April 20th. I could make even a stronger argument that if he's not out for 10 years, what's the point? But the statute doesn't. So it goes to my pet peeve that practicing lawyers don't write the law. Okay, I mean, that's the problem. That, you know, because this is an issue that should be fixed.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Wood, you understand that we'll go back on the record in these three files: 20-01041, 20L2560341, and 21-02818. My understanding is that you're going to plead guilty on the operating a motor vehicle charge. It's the drunk driving charge. And at this time, we've been contacted by probation because I wanted you to have everything up front that they are going to contact you in regards to an assessment. That could be done before April 20th, but you know that that's in existence. They're going to contact you as an assessment. I have a feeling they're going to contact you, take the assessment. You're going to be in Department of Corrections, and that's what they're going to need to hear, but they have to do it pursuant to statute. Do you understand that, Mr. Wood?
Yes, Your Honor. I had a question, Your Honor. Prior, I had already been arraigned on these matters here once before I came to prison. And then I ended up coming to prison. And then after I was in prison, I was arraigned again recently on these. But the first time I was arraigned, then I went to jail and I was sentenced for my felonies, and I did assessment with
Mr.
them.
Wood, you're correct. You have the maximum sentence already served.
Right.
The law regarding the operating under controlled substance, the court is.
I already understand this. I'm not talking about my time. What I'm trying to say is the first time I got arraigned, then I went to jail and I got sentenced on my felonies.
Can I speak with minute breakout room? Mr. Wood, you and I are going to speak privately.
No, they did a PSI, pre-sentence investigation with probation. Would that apply to this?
Probably not after 3 years.
Your Honor.
Well, I'm saying it was after I was arraigned on these matters.
Yeah,
So
but it's
I
got to
was-
be done with the assessment.
Well, I think what they're pointing out is the PSI he did originally back in 2021 may have contained an assessment.
Yeah.
Because it was
Yeah, it-
also narcotics related.
Hang on, let me find out.
Right.
Yeah,
And I did one more recently than that. When I went to Oakland County, I did an assessment because I had methamphetamines, which is what they're saying I was under the influence here in this allegedly. So I'm saying like I've done numerous assessments since
Right,
my arraignment on
right.
these charges.
I don't think,
it applies. That's
I
what
understand the argument. I don't think it matters.
If he's on more recently, I just have no way of,
Right?
I don't know how to get a hold of that.
Yep, I don't know either. No.
He's not wrong necessarily if he's on a lot more recently. I just.
Well, I don't want probation to do any more work than they have to.
Right.
But I think they're going to want to do their own assessment pursuant to statute.
Is there any possible way that this is gonna be scheduled before April 20th so that it's not keeping him
I don't-
beyond his parole date?
I don't see it. I can see them doing the assessment before, whether they get a PSA done. I mean, our dates are in May. So,
Because I don't even know that we need a full PSI. There's nothing, I mean, he served his full sentence.
right. I
It's-
mean, he
it's-
has no more time to serve.
Yeah, we're
It's really just the
taking a
assessment.
box for the statute here for the assessment thing.
That's exactly what we're doing.
So is there a requirement for a full PSI to be done or just as soon as they've done the assessment?
As
we
soon
can
as
get
they,
back in
I
and review?
don't need a full PSI, but they've got to see him for the assessment.
Is there, this is purely shooting in the dark, is there any way for? Let me think through if this is an intelligent request. What I'm thinking is there a way of getting probation to the assessment with him so that would tick the box as soon as they've done it, notify the court so they can schedule as soon as possible?
I think we can do that regardless, but it still might put it past that April 20th date.
That was my worry.
That's my fear. Yep.
Your Honor, I have a question. Is it a problem pleading guilty until I do the assessment, or can I plead guilty and then do the assessment when I'm released?
You can plead guilty. We're trying to figure out how that assessment's going to affect your out date, but we're trying to see that they can get you the assessment as soon as possible so it doesn't affect your out date. That's what we're trying to work on.
And quite frankly, it will be faster if you plead today and we schedule the assessment. It will delay things further if we don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of is to get the plea today, but with you knowing that we've got to get you an assessment as soon as possible.
Right, but I get sentenced today?
That's what the request would be, but.
And they're supposed to with people who are in custody. It's just.
Yeah, it's just whether we're able to get it out, get it in. I mean, they got resources probably the way everybody else does. So, Mr. Wood, why don't you talk to Ms. Sutter just to make sure that we're all on the same page?
I think we are now. I didn't know where
Okay.
he was gonna start going with that. which is
All
why I
right,
wanted to go
okay.
on the project, But I now know where he's going.
So, Mr. Wood, it appears that the jail time you've done all. Statutorily, we have to get you the assessment, and we're gonna do that as soon as possible prior to the April 20th date, but I can't guarantee it'll be done by the April 20th date. But the sooner we get it ordered, the sooner we're in this process. So that's what I want you to know.
I understand, Your Honor. I was just
Okay.
curious, if I plead guilty, can I get sentenced today and then wait to do the assessment? Or do I gotta wait to be sentenced till after I do?
You
the
gotta
assessment?
wait for statutorily, they have to do the assessment before we can sentence you. Yep.
Okay, so why don't we just adjourn and you put in motion to do the assessment and then we'll just come back to court and do this.
But I can't order the assessment
So-
unless you plead guilty.
Right, so in order for, because we have to do things in a certain order, so in order for them to do an assessment, there'd have to be a plea. So we have to do plea assessment sentencing. That's the order it has to
Right.
go in.
So,
Okay,
So let's
I'm
do-
willing to make a plea today, yeah. Let's do
okay,
it.
let's do that today. All right. So, my understanding of this is the two other files are going to be dismissed, and then there's going to plead to the file concerning the assessment file that we've been discussing on
Yes.
in count one. And then we'll get probation out there. We'll tell them the nature of it because they may want to get out there just to get, or zoom it in just to get it done quickly.
Is there any
Since-
world in which, where he's in a, probably coming with us right now, that we can ask if probation's available? today?
No,
Okay.
yeah,
Thought I
because
tried.
I mean, it's thought, but
'Cause we've
it's
had
an efficient thought, but
Because we've had a lot of problems in the past with MDOC.
I know. All right, so, Ms. Sutter, may I acquire your client of their misdemeanor rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Wood, you understand that this is part of a plea agreement. You're going to be pleading. The ultimate penalty is 93 days and or $500. We understand we've had some discussions that you may have already met that. And so you have the following trial rights if you choose, and I'll walk you through those. You have the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have witnesses against you appear at trial, to question any witnesses that are brought against you. You are represented today by Attorney Lauren Sutter, and she would be present to cross-examine any witnesses or contest any charges brought against you by the people of the state of Michigan. You have the right to have the court ordering witnesses appear in your defense, to remain silent during the trial, not to have that silence used against you, and to testify at trial if you choose to testify. If your plea is accepted, you'll give the claim the plea was a result of any promises other than what's already been stated on the record, and we've stated a lot on the record, or threats that it was not your choice to plead guilty, and you're giving up the right to appeal any issues, so we won't be having a trial, so there will be nothing to appeal. Is it your wish today to plead guilty to count one of file 21-02818?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
All right. I'm going to have you raise your right hand as best you can. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
All right. I'm going to bring your attention back to March 18th of 2021 at the offense location of East Cesar Chavez and Turner Street in the city of Lansing. Were you operating a motor vehicle on East Cesar Chavez on Turner Street on March 18th, 2021?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that was open to the general public at the time? Did you later find, or did you understand that you were under the influence of an amphetamine, a controlled substance, amphetamine, at the time you were operating the motor vehicle?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that amphetamine substantially materially affected your ability to operate the vehicle. Is that correct?
I agree. I was under the influence of amphetamines and marijuana, Your Honor.
Okay.
I allegedly it affects my hair. I didn't feel like it affected my ability, but obviously it's against the law to do it. So, I admit that I was under the influence.
Okay. And you knew it was an amphetamine when you took the amphetamine. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was addicted to drugs, Your Honor.
All right. I don't know if he has to indicate that he's.
Yeah, I knew it was meth. I was doing meth. I mean, is that better?
I'll let you make a record of that effect, Ms. Sutter. Is that an accurate basis, based on Ms. Sutter's comments? Is that a fair and accurate basis, Ms. Williams?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Sutter, and if you want to make the record based on your client's indication, feel free.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Just to clarify for the factual basis here, Mr. Woods has indicated that he was knowingly under the influence of an amphetamine. He acknowledges that is in violation of state law regarding operating a vehicle. He does not know whether he himself was impaired by that, but he does acknowledge that he was under the influence of it. From a legal opinion, I believe the statute requires that there be the presence of a controlled substance in the system. There's no requirement that it be a certain level, nor that it be show an actual impairment like would normally be required with marijuana or alcohol. I believe it's a kind of zero tolerance under that charge.
All right. So based on your client's representations, do you agree that that's a factual basis for count one?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. I find the factual basis to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurately made, and I will refer to probation for their assessment with the understanding that he is currently incarcerated in the Department of Corrections. What's the placement?
He's at Carson City. He was just recently transferred there.
For assessment. And this is my wish. This is what I'm wishing is the assessment is done via Polycom prior to the April 20th date, so it doesn't affect his ability that April 20th date. The second thing is that I will wait to hear from probation, and we'll set it for a sensing date and then whether we need that date or not. But that would, I think that would suffice everybody. So Mr. Wood, you might get a sentencing date, but you might already be out. So let me give you, so make sure you have this date. It'll be sent to you, but make sure you keep in mind that 54A District Court has a date of sentencing just for the assessment purposes. All right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'll get a hold of Ms. Sutter if I get released on 4/20 and find out when the sentencing would be. But I appreciate it, Your Honor, and I apologize for the the seeming problems of the nature of this stuff.
You're fine. You're fine, Mr. Wood. The sentencing date would be May 21st at 1:30. I think it's a good idea, Mr. Wood, to contact Mr. Sutter if you get released, so we can make sure that that May 21st date is set and we know what happens on that date. All right, sir?
And Your Honor, may I just briefly on that?
Sure.
He currently has a cash bond so that he's continuing to earn credit. I would like to make a request to the court to convert his bond to a PR on April 20th. So that he will be released. He can come to court on his own if it's not needed.
All right, so I'm gonna convert. There is a $300 cash bond on it, and I'll convert to $500 PR bond. So he's not brought to the Gingham County Jail to serve any time that he's already served.
Right, thank you.
All right. All right, Mr. Wood, you should be all set. Contact with Ms. Sutter when you're able to get out, and we've set it for May 21st at 1:30. All right, sir?
Hey, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Sutter.
All right. You're all set.
appreciate y'all
Thank you for your
having me.
appearance today.
Thank you, Mr. Wood.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I think that's all.
All right, Mr. Peoples, we'll call your case. We're on the
Yes, sir.
record in docket 23-01132. That's people of the state of Michigan or city of Lansing versus Alex Peoples. Sir, you are Alex Peoples, is that correct?
That's right, sir.
All right, this is time set for show cause. We for an outstanding balance of $234.47. I'm not gonna, of course, we're gonna put the bench warrant aside because you obviously appeared today. Mr. Peoples, what are you incarcerated for right now?
This was still in retail fraud.
Right, do you have an out date or are you pending trial?
I have an out date the 15th of April.
April 15th. All right, you have an outstanding balance of $234.47 to the city of Lansing. After your April 15th date, if I put it out by June, would you be able to start making payments on that debt?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's do that. We're gonna say D is currently incarcerated. Out date of April 15th. So we'll indicate $20 a month.
Okay.
Starting June 1st. That can be paid online, in person, or on the phone.
Okay.
$20 a month, June 1st. and every subsequent month, so July 1st, August 1st, until the balance is paid. All right, sir?
Yes, sir.
So that's your plan. That's the installment plan starting June 1st and every following month, $20 a month to the city of Lansing. If you're unable to make a payment of that, if you miss a payment, there's going to be another bench warrant issued for you. So you kind of want to stay out of that cycle. All right, sir?
Sir.
All right. You should be all set, Mr. Peoples. Anything else on 23-01132? Do you have any questions of me?
Have a good day.
Okay, you're all set. Thank you for your appearance today. And then we're on the record in docket 23-0013431. That's the city of Lansing versus Linda Haddad. This was scheduled for 11 o'clock. It is now 11:26. It would appear that Ms. Haddad has failed to appear for the show cause on the outstanding debt of $5,000, $4,995, and a bench warrant and bond forfeiture is issued. I didn't like that grimace. That looked painful. A little bit. Yeah. So bench warrant bond forfeiture is issued. That's all for the record on that file. We're on the record in docket 212494. That's the city of Lansing versus Katarina Price. This is the time set for a show cause. Previously show cause and set up a plan on February 27th. This was referred to collections as of December 22nd. We show caused her. She set for show cause today. This was scheduled for 11 o'clock. It is now 11:28. It appears that the defendant has failed to appear for show cause, and a bench warrant and bond forfeiture will be issued. That's all for the record in 21-02494. There's Miss Price. All right.